Hello, everybody. Long time no see. I'm not gonna lie, this was my first winter living back in Indiana. I was living in Texas, and even though I complained about how hot it was there all the time, forgot about how cold it gets here. And I'm not gonna lie, had some winter scaries, and also had a lot of work I was doing, like stuff I was actually getting paid for. So I was busy with that and whatever. Kind of hit a funk after the inauguration, which it was great. I had a wonderful time. Love DC, love visiting, love democracy, all of that is super fun. But the reason why I kind of stepped back is because of mental health, which is something that okay, I need to figure out where to put this stuff. This drink. Mental health, which is something that oh my word, which is what I'm going to talk about today, because I think that obviously, like, ooh, mental health, like this and that, and take care of yourself and this and that, but like I'm very thankful that we live in a world where mental health is normalized, like therapy and taking your SSRIs and, like mental health days, like from work. All of those things are so much more valid now than they were like even 10 years ago. And that's extremely refreshing. But um, I want to like talk about why. Like, why are we having all of these mental crises um, when it used to not be this way? And it's part of growing up. Like, I am 27. Yes, I'm not a happy-go-lucky, energized teenager anymore. Like, I actually have a lot of things to do, like pay for my house and pay for gas and bills and food and keep my house clean and work and be perfect all the time, like all these things on my shoulders. Um, but the one thing that has changed the most is social media and the amount of interaction that I have on there, the amount of people I follow, people following me, TikTok. We're an overconsumption era. Just saying era is like icky to me because that's such a like Gen Z. But it's so true. Like we literally overconsume. My therapist said that we used to have the attention span of like a mouse or something. I don't know. And now it's been proven that we have the same attention span as like a gnat. So, and it's 100% because of our screen time. And I think that genuinely just like first becoming aware with the fact that you're online chronically is the first step into like making your mental health better, like prioritizing it. But that's really hard to do because we are always like people are always sending you things, or you just want to scroll at night, or like there's a trend, or like your favorite celebrity influencer or whatever is posting. But it's been so damaging to my mental health, and I still don't feel like I have a grasp on it, but I would really like to, and I encourage you to as well. um like, okay, social media has been a thing, like, let's see, Facebook's been around for like at least I think like 20 years or something. Almost 20 years. That's insane. But it used to be a lot different. Instagram was like what Visco was, like it wasn't that much of a social media. Like when I made my Instagram, there were no DMs. I don't, I think you could comment, but there was no stories. You could not message people. That was not a thing. Um, and I think it's a beautiful thing now that we have the world on our fingertips and we can access anything. But just in the last like year or so, total strangers are interacting on each other's pages because you go viral, you're in the algorithm, and that triggers literally the freaking meanest people I have ever, like, I did not know that people were that capable of being mean to someone that you don't even know. Like, I cannot post something or comment on something without somebody disagreeing with me. For instance, I commented on this page that posted a thing about The Great Gatsby, and that's like my favorite book ever. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite book. Like, I can't believe it's about to turn 100. And I got this slew of hate comments that were like, well, I hope you know that he didn't even write the book and he stole it from his wife. And just like going hard at me, like punch after punch, just because I said I liked a book. I never said I agreed with the theories of him stealing stuff from his wife. Like that, oh my gosh. And I'm sure we all have experienced this in our own way if you're on TikTok or whatever. Um it like I could literally like say orange is my favorite color and I could get canceled for it because orange is the color of Trump's skin, which means I'm a Trump supporter, which means I'm racist and fascist and I'm a Nazi sympathizer. Like, like you don't know. Like it could just dig deeper and deeper. Like that's what people are online. Like, and it is exhausting. I do not know how anybody has the energy to be that mean to strangers. Like, don't get me wrong. I see some stuff that really upsets me online, but normally I just scroll or I log off. I hate the keyboard warrior. I hate that. I think it's unattractive. I think it makes you look and sound uneducated, and you should probably spend time doing something else, like being outside, like touch grass. I've had someone tell me to do that once. But another thing with social media is the politics. And politics has always been like my passion of study, but not like I'm not like obsessed with like quid pro quo, like how dirty things and uh you know, I'm not into that, but I think it's interesting to study the way people vote. I think it's really interesting to study like the sociology behind politics, um, why people think the way they do, what's a good tactic for a campaign. I love that kind of stuff. Um, but a lot of people who aren't inclined like me, like I went to college for public or political science, and I'm about to get my master's in public administration. Um, I just think that like a lot of people don't see the science behind like the reason why I'm interested in it, I guess, which is totally fine. I do not expect people to side with anything that I believe, but I don't post like you have to vote for Trump, you have to vote for straight ticket, this person, that person. I don't care. I don't care who you voted for, and I would hope that you don't care who I voted for because really we're just all specks of dust on this rock that's floating in the air. And some people would say that I'm very privileged to say that I don't care and to agree to disagree, because my politics has, or the way I voted, has never like personally affected my civil liberties. And that's, honestly, I'm not going to get into that, because we all have an idea of, what should be funded and involved in our government and what shouldn't. And it doesn't make me a bad person if I have a Christian standpoint, because I am a believer in Jesus Christ. And it's not going to make you a bad person because you don't believe in God and you don't vote that way. Like that, I cannot explain or express it enough, because I genuinely understand that we are all different people. And men are very different than women. Young people are very different than old people. Me in tiny little Kokomo, Indiana, is going to be so different than someone living in Honolulu, Hawaii, or the middle of Nebraska, or, Miami or California. Like, we just all have different things that are important to us, and that's okay. It's totally okay. I just don't think that social media is the proper place for debate. It could be good for discussion, but it used to be like you did not get your news from Facebook. You did not get your news from an app that is owned by China, or was, I don't know, half owned by China now. I don't know. Um, you don't, that doesn't, like, you have to do your research. And when I was in college and I was in my undergrad, if we had any citations, it had to be from a scholarly article. And I genuinely think that if you are going to make a decision on an opinion or have an opinion, you need to actually read stuff from universities and conducted studies, or um, like court case documents. Like, that sounds intense, but no, like CBS or Fox News is not going to tell you, even these days, what's right and what's wrong, because everything is so skewed. And I totally am 100% on board with people educating themselves and disagreeing with me. There's a fine line between educating yourself and just spewing out how you feel. If you're gonna argue on statistics, then I really hope that you have something that is credible. And I'm not going to sit back and deny, whatever you're saying. And if I'm wrong, I am okay with that. But that is why I do not engage really with like actual political things online. Like I said, my page is for fun, history, constitutionalist, founding fathers, traveling. I eat that up. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for, and I'm not here to tell you what's right and what's wrong, because that's not my place. And you will, and that's the beautiful part about being an American and living in America, is you can have the freedom to go vote for whoever want, and whoever you're siding with. And it's just a beautiful thing. But back in the day, and when I say this, I mean like when I was a kid, so like 20 years ago, you did not talk about who you're voting for. There are like little things about policy that might slip up, like taxes, escrow, uh, city stuff going on, like ordinances, all very like for living in a small town, those are important things to us, like where's our tax dollars going? Um, what's the sheriff doing? Like little things like that. That is like understandable to discuss. My parents and their friends, like, they did not discuss abortion. They didn't talk about like illegal immigration, which I know those things are very like sensitive and important now. Um, that doesn't mean they weren't then. It's just things have gotten out of control, and with social media, people are taking it to the next level. I have my mother-in-law, for instance. She's never told me who she's voted for. She doesn't hardly talk about politics. She doesn't like to. She doesn't want to, and that is like amazing because she can just be her own private person because she doesn't want it to ruin or affect her friendships or relationships or her job. And I think, like, to a certain extent, she's very smart for that, especially if she she has told me, like, she's not the most educated all the time. Like, she is not always gonna know every single fact. And I praise her for her transparency on that aspect. And like I said, like, I probably wouldn't really care if she was like a raging Democrat or like ultra conservative. Like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't care as long as she didn't make me feel bad about who I voted for. But that seems to be how it is. Like, everybody, excuse me, everybody wants you to agree with them, and it's just not humanly possible. You can't agree with everybody, and it's super exhausting. And when I was my first election back in 2016, I was super excited about getting able to vote, being able to vote. Oh my gosh, my grammar. And just like being involved in the local party. I posted all the time about like who I was voting for and like my beliefs, I guess. And there would be a few people every once in a while that would like react negatively, but for the most part, like, it didn't really matter. And now I'm like, I would never, because I don't want to see what other people are saying. And also, Facebook, social media should be for like memes and seeing pictures of your cousins or your old best friend that lives on the other side of the country. Like, you want to see what people are up to. You don't care about all of the like what they believe, like all of their morals. I don't know. And people have called me privileged for saying that. And yeah, it is a privilege to have peace of mind, I guess, and not feel the need to overshare. And I do have plenty of friends that I know voted differently than me, but it doesn't change my view of them because I just want to be their friend. Like, I'm not going to let that ruin my friendship with somebody that I've known for half my life. So I just like encourage everybody to be kind online. This sounds like so that sounds so cheesy, like the Melania be best. Do the eyes, the smolder, the Slovakian smolder. Um, but that's really all I have to say about like my what's going on in my head. No, I like any person I vote for is not going to do everything perfectly. Like, there are definitely things that have happened since the new administration that I'm like, okay, a little crazy there. And same with Congress, and same with like my freaking mayor. Even though he could be worse, I don't know. It's just like nobody is going to be perfect. Nobody's God, and a lot of people think that these politicians are, and that your life is just going to drastically change overnight after someone wins an election. Not true. So I want to transition now into what I posted on my Instagram. I asked you guys to answer a couple questions about social media and influence and politics affecting your mental health on social media. And so I'll start with a big one. Um, this is my friend Cole. He said, social media has changed politics by allowing more information to flow freely and less obscured. However, it has its flaws by allowing less qualified people to spew lies. It gets tricky, though, because of our First Amendment and my belief to say that people are allowed to feel however they want to feel. It's up to the consumer to cross examine references, or if it's geopolitical, look into their own people's opinions. Unfortunately, we live in a time where less qualified people do, like, at the same time, experts lie for special interest reasons. I care about posting my political beliefs because I don't owe a politician or government figure my full trust, because virtually every single one of them is in the business of shady business to an extent. It's just a matter of how they carry themselves and telling hard truths even when it's not convenient. Lastly, I keep cool to fake posts by just not engaging much with them, because whether or not they'll eventually see the truth if it's definite. It's up to them to course correct and look into things without bias or objective. I think that hits the nail right on the hammer. Oh, wait. I'm literally dyslexic. That hits the head, the nail on the head. Yeah. It's no, I don't know. Hits the nail on that. He is saying exactly kind of what I'm getting at. Um, Social media has literally enabled us to post literally whatever we want because it is the First Amendment, unless it's hate crime or like domestic terrorism. I'm pretty sure like most things you can say whatever you want. Um, and it can be a beautiful thing because we can share so much at like in a snap, and someone on the other side of the world is going to know what's happening, something unjust or a bill that's passed. But on the other side, you can literally post whatever you want. So, like I said earlier, there is just a really fine line between what you read and what's true, and you need to just not not take everything so literal online. You think about like all the California wildfires that were going on, and like North Carolina was still like being completely devastated by all the hurricane damage, and we didn't hear about that. Like the narrative gets so pushed to where we don't realize what's happening in other places. So, thank you, Cole. That was a very good response. I think that it's good, a good train of thought. You guys rewind and re-listen to it because it's important out there. Okay, what else did everybody say? Someone said that they only post their political beliefs on X, but not Facebook or Instagram. So that's a safe place to post because I feel like, sorry, Elon, X is just not quite as mainstream as it used to be. A lot of people who don't like Elon Musk have kind of logged off or not been on there as much. So, like, this is a silly instance, but if I posted a selfie on there 5 years ago, I probably would have gotten like 20, 30 likes. But now I don't, I'd get like two, maybe. That's just because of traffic, not because I'm uglier. Well, maybe, I don't know. But um, I totally agree. But there is still a lot of hate on X. I've still seen a lot of negative, bad stuff, but in reality, yes, it is a safer place to post just because you're not going to get the traffic. People don't get on X specifically for politics, in my opinion. I'm on there to see the memes. I'm subscribed to like all of my favorite music artists' tweets just so I know like when people are going on tour. And I don't know. I could be wrong. You let me know if you guys have a different experience with X. Let me know. Um, Someone said social media has made it easier to conduct polls with localized populations. That's really valid. I didn't think about that either. Um, it is super easy now to conduct research, I guess. Like polling, see what people are saying, this or that, yes or no, because the platform is just so much bigger than it used to be, and it's going to be so much more relevant and accurate than it would have been like 5, 10 years ago. Um, Someone said that I've given up on the political system completely, so I don't even know anymore. LOL. So right. She's so real for that. And that just goes back to like people trying to make stuff up about politics when that's not really the truth. So good on you. I would give up on the political system too if I only relied on social media for my knowledge and learning. Um, okay, someone else said feedback from the younger generation is more constant through social media. For example, Charlie Kirk. So, yeah, that's true. Feel like a lot of people don't want to vote or didn't want to vote, especially younger people like don't care or didn't care. And people like Charlie Kirk are going to college campuses and provoking, being like a thought provoker, if that's the right term, to just pick people's brains. Sometimes you can get a little rowdy, but yeah, that's super true. And then the last one, someone said, "You're doing great, sweetie. Keep it up." Oh, that's so nice. It was totally not my main page that slid up, but I I just like if you get anything out of this episode of what I'm trying to talk about is to just be kind. Think about what you're going to say before you say it to somebody. You know, back yourself up. Make sure you know, you're right. And not everybody has to agree with you, and that's totally fine. Not everybody's going to, and yeah, maybe you should log off. You know, my therapist told me I need to stay off social media a little bit because it's caused some self-image issues, which I'm sure you guys all deal with that as well. So, um, yeah, take care of yourself. But part of self-care is like being a good person, like being kind, being nice. You can't you can't be a happy person and hate on other people to an extent. Like you can have your opinions, but there's no reason to be hateful. Be best. All right. Thanks, guys.